All right, hey guys. So, thought maybe I would touch on a few books that I've been reading and that I really recommend because you should constantly be trying to expand your knowledge. And when it comes to food and eating, there are so many books out there. I've tried to read through as many of them as I can so that I could get a pretty complete picture of what's out there. I have read many of the keto books. I actually really like The Ketotarian, which is an interesting book by my buddy Dr. Will Cole. And he does a pretty good job if you really want to look at ketosis, but you're vegetarian. Personally, I don't think that our bodies want to be in ketosis. I see patients, we actually put our patients in ketosis before surgery and they're in ketosis after surgery. And I'm not sure that I really like the way they feel. Or what I see in their labs. It's interesting to me that the body seems to really not want to be in ketosis. And in fact, in ketosis, you have to go very high fat and actually not high protein because your body so desperately wants blood sugar and to fill up its glycogen stores that it will do a process called gluconeogenesis where it actually turns the protein into sugar. So it's weird, but I think that that's a pretty good book. By Dr. Cole, if you are interested in the ketosis aspects. Generally not something I typically support, as you guys know, but if you're going to do it, obviously doing it as a vegetarian is better. This book is fantastic, by my buddies Julianne Heaver and Ray Cronise, brilliant people. The Idiot's Guide to Plant-Based Nutrition. This is way beyond an idiot's guide. This book has got great recipes, great science, and really looks at how to be a plant-based eater as a senior, how to be a plant-based eater as an athlete, what supplements to take. It really goes into the details very, very well. I highly recommend this book. Highly recommend it. There is an author that I absolutely love who I've seen speak before. Her name is Daphne Miller. And Daphne works a lot. Believe it or not, one of her specialties is soil. She actually studies soil quite a bit. She is a primary care doctor. This book, The Jungle Effect, is actually very interesting. She took patients that had different diseases that she had seen and kind of took them back to their original diets. Pharmacology is a really interesting book where she kind of goes over how changing the way we farm can really change our health, which I really, really, really believe in. You know, when people talk about switching to a vegan diet being good for the environment, you'll see a lot of people respond and say, well, that's not true. Look at this study and that study. What those studies are looking at show that if we were to go vegan but continue the exact same farming structure that we have right now, we would still be importing blueberries and things like that. It's not as effective as we would like it to be, but that's not how it would be. We would be repurposing land, we would be reforesting, we would take all those swaths of land that grow nothing but wheat and soy to feed the animals and change it to produce that can actually be helpful. There should be an emphasis on more urban farms, on local farms, and so her book goes into all this in detail. It's really fantastic. Longevity diet is very interesting. I've been interested in Dr. Valter Longo's work. He is a aging scientist, and he's not vegan or vegetarian, though he hits on a lot of the data we hit on when we look at the plant-based diets, which is that high protein may actually be a cause of aging, and that lower protein diets, especially under the age of 65, are protective for long-term health. He goes into some of the blue zones and why they're living healthy. There's a lot of science in his book. He's famous for his fasting, and he goes into that fasting, what he calls a fast mimicking diet, which I've done his diet. It's called the Prolon diet, and I can't tell you much if it worked for me or if it didn't. I feel healthy at almost 49 years old. I don't think I could feel any better, but can't really attribute that to the few times I've done the Prolon diet. The only thing I could tell you on how I felt on the Prolon diet was hungry, but probably not as hungry as if you fast without the fast mimicking diet. But he's got some very interesting research. Most of it is animal research, but there is some human research on the effects of fast mimicking diet, which he goes to in here, and also just how to live a healthy diet. And look at the cover, how to live a healthy diet. Again, it's plants. I think we know this, but I think it's interesting coming from a guy who really isn't a plant-based advocate per se. He's more a researcher, a scientist who studies aging and has come to that conclusion, and has a really good book. So just a few of the books that I've been going through lately. I've also been going through, as I've posted a couple times, on some of the books about just not the nutrition aspects of food, but how can I get my patients to change their behavior, and how can I get them to actually adopt a new lifestyle when it comes to food. And that's a whole different topic. I could tell you that an apple's good for you, but how do I get you to choose that apple is a totally different aspect, and I'll get more into that in the future as we here at Mission Health try to create what we think is going to be the perfect program to help people get healthy. And part of that's not just to teach them what to eat, but how to change their behavior and want to eat that way. So I will give you more of that later.